Continuation of the public interview of applicants for the position of Associate Justice, vacated by Justice Martin S. Villarama Jr., effective January 16 this year. Please introduce the applicants to the council.
Yes, Your Honors. Your Honors, the candidates to be interviewed this afternoon are former COA Commissioner, Attorney Maria Gracia M. Pulido Tan, currently a member of the United Nations Independent Audit Advisory Committee, New York, USA. Then we have Sandigan Bayan, Associate Justice Alex L. Quiroz. Then Court of Appeals Presiding Justice Andres B. Reyes Jr., and Court of Appeals Associate Justice Jose C. Reyes Jr. May I request Presiding Justice Andres B. Reyes and Associate Justice Quiroz Reyes to stay in the holding room while the interview of Attorney Pulido Tan is being conducted. Thank you, Your Honors. Attorney Tan, please occupy the hot seat.
Good afternoon, Attorney Tan. So we will now start the public interview. May I request Attorney Cayosa to start?
Thank you, Justice Gutierrez. Good afternoon, Chairman Tan. We interviewed you in 2014 on your application for the same position. The circumstances under which you applied at that time so different now. At the time, you were still chairman of COA. Given that you have now vacated the position of COA chairman, do you think that your chances of being shortlisted and appointed are better now than you had? You were shortlisted on June 30, 2014.
Your Honor, thank you for the question. I don't think it's really so much a matter of my chances getting better. I was shortlisted the last time, but I was not appointed. But I would say that I think that I'm in a better position now to aspire for the position because I am free. I mean, I don't have any employment, and whereas before I was, as you said, still the chair of the Commission on Audit, and if I had been appointed then, I would have had to resign my office. Now I am retired. My term of office as chair of the commission expired in February, and I've been keeping busy, both as a lawyer and as an accountant, with other engagements which are not really permanent in character. So I would say that I am better prepared to be appointed to the court this time around.
Thank you, Chairman Tan. Now, let me take this opportunity to first inform you that after you were shortlisted on June 30, we received an opposition to your application, and I think that it would be good to give you a chance to respond to it. If the Secretariat has not given you a copy yet, then we will direct the Secretariat to give you a copy of the same. It's actually two complaints, one by a certain Uriel Borja, who is an advocate for affordable and reasonable electricity rates. I think it's a former state auditor of COA. And another one, also a belated letter, and the council will give you 5 days within which to respond to the opposition should you wish to do so. And earlier this morning we had some Twitter questions, and I'd want to adopt one of the questions and modify it a bit. It has something to do with transparency and accountability, and it's relevant to your position as former COA chair. Do you believe that requiring transparency in the budget and expenses of the judiciary would compromise its independence?
I don't think so, Your Honor. when we talk of transparency, I think what we mean by that essentially is that it is open to public scrutiny, and also so that the public would know where this particular allocation would be is intended for, what it is intended for, and where it will be going. So I don't think that it compromises the integrity or independence of the judiciary in any way. I think that right now that is what we have in the budget. All the items of expenditure are itemized and so presented in the public document, first in the NEP, which the executive submits to the Congress, and then the appropriations law, which the Congress subsequently enacts.
A related question, this is as regards the allowances provided by the local government units of certain areas. What is your opinion, with respect to the issuances of allowances to judges and even justices in the stations of the Court of Appeals in Cagayan de Oro and in Cebu? Do you have any objection to this?
Your Honor, during my term as chairman of the Commission on Audit, we did get some letters regarding this matter, but we thought that it was outside of our audit jurisdiction to make a policy statement because the law in fact allows it. But as a matter of policy, I think that it has to be reviewed, because there have also been cases where the judiciary was conflicted in a sense. For example, there would be cases against the mayor, and people were telling us from the field that wala pong kapanapanalo ang kabila dyan kasi si mayor, not only because he is mayor, but also because they hold the purse, at least insofar as the allowances of the judge is concerned. Now, this is not to say that we found them to be true, but these are things that we heard from the ground. And for whatever it's worth, I think it has to be reviewed, because that kind of talk alone already impacts the judiciary in a negative way. So whether there is in fact a danger or an evil to it is one thing, but the fact that it is spoken about in such a manner, I think, has to be addressed.
Well, the judges actually welcome it, since it is an addition to their meager income. Of course, there is the concern with respect to their ability to remain independent and to make impartial judgment. Would you have a proposal or a counter proposal to ensure that, if there are available funds, so that they would be entitled to allowances without compromising their impartiality or independence?
Your Honor, I think that the allowances can be sourced from a new item in the budget, perhaps, or from some other legislation that can accrue to the benefit of the judiciary, the judges in particular. I'm thinking along the lines of, say, the excise taxes on cigarettes, like whatever a certain amount there, I think the full amount is, a certain amount is going to be set aside for health. And maybe some kind of a legislation along that line could be pushed in the Congress for the judiciary.
So you want less discretion on the part of the LGU officials?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's another issue with respect to this time the legal profession. You now are connected with the UN, and ASEAN integration calls for globalization, including the practice of law. What are your thoughts on accepting foreign lawyers into the legal profession in the Philippines? Do you think that this should also be regulated, and how?
Yes, Your Honor, I do think so, in spite of the agreement to integrate. And there are two ways, basically. One is to admit them into practice in the Philippines, but only for the law of their jurisdiction. Say, if a Malaysian lawyer wants to practice in the Philippines, he can do so, but he can only practice Malaysian law, because I would think that there would be, corporations who may wish to be advised on Malaysian law, and they can have that kind of service in the Philippines. The other, of course, is full integration, where the foreign lawyer is admitted to practice law in the Philippines, including Philippine law, and I think that should be he should be subject to the same, at least to the same supervisory authority of the Supreme Court as we are. I mean, as Filipino lawyers are.
With respect to some jurisdictions, they allow law offices to incorporate and, in fact, to have shares of stock. Our current legal profession only allows professional partnerships. Do you think that part of globalization should include the possibility of the legal profession being incorporated?
I think it could work, Your Honor, but insofar as the Philippines is concerned, for as long as the uberemi fide that we talk of when we talk of legal practice through partnerships is paramount, I don't think a corporate setup would do, because it's so impersonal and the liability is just so limited. But I'm sure that there could be a way by which we could go that route without compromising the personal faith and confidence that every client could have with his or her lawyer of choice.
Thank you, Chairman Tan. My time is up, and good luck. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Justice.
Thank you so much, Attorney Cayosa. May I request now Attorney Mejia to continue the public interview.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Chairman Tan. You have been interviewed in the past, and in fact, if memory serves, got a unanimous vote for your shortlisting. So I was inclined not to ask any more questions, but it's very seldom that we have a candidate who is a tax expert. So let me just limit myself to maybe one or two questions related to tax. I want to know your opinion on whether or not our present tax structure needs reform.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in what area do you suggest that we reform our tax system?
First, on the structure, because we have a very complicated system. It's not really simple. And also on the rates. I think we have, it's true that we have one of the highest income tax rates in the Philippines, both personal and corporate. Of course, sometimes we forget that at the end of the day, that is so whittled down by all the exemptions or the deductions that are allowed under the law. For example, if I may just illustrate, even if the corporate tax rate is at, say, 32%, at the end of the day, the tax base gets so eroded by all the deductions that 32% is really nothing. So in that sense, it's not so high, but it is not applied in that way. So if we just go on the nominal rates, yes, we have very high rates. And studies all over the world have shown that that is not conducive to a voluntary tax compliance system. And so our tax system is forced to be coercive in some way to be able to collect. The other, in terms of the rates, are the graduation of rates. For example, I think right now we have the highest at 32, but that is already imposed on individuals who have a net income of at least 500,000. 500,000 these days, Your Honor, is not really much. So if we think of that as the top rate already, how much more the bigger percentage of our working class who are squeezed in the middle? They are really paying so much more. And the third one is perhaps we should rethink the gross income tax system on compensation earners, like perhaps most of us here, where we don't get any allowances for deductions, but only personal exemptions. Vis-a-vis individuals who are engaged in trade or business, they can have, they can claim a lot of the deductions under the law. So there is really a disparity in the way that these two systems are concerned. Of course, the Supreme Court has previously ruled many years ago that is constitutional, but perhaps it needs rethinking and revisiting at this time.
Are you suggesting that we shift from the so-called scheduler approach to the unitary approach without having to discriminate between the kind of taxpayer that will pay the tax?
I think that makes sense, Your Honor, because by experience, Hong Kong, which is very progressive, I mean, it's a financial center, and the standard of living of the people there are quite high. It's a very simple system, 15%, and that's it.
Because that leaves so much room for deductions, all those
right.
up.
Yes. Also, Your Honor, the temptation to really lower, minimize by using all its deductions is there. But if you have some kind of a unitary rate like what Hong Kong has, and I think by experience it has shown that it works. So perhaps we should look at it more closely.
Thank you. My final question, which is also tax related. This imposition of value-added tax on homeowners association dues, I'm not sure if there is already a case questioning it, but what do you think of the legality of that particular imposition, considering that VAT is imposed on the sale of services and goods in the course of business?
Your Honor, with due respect, I don't know if I should answer, because if I do get to the court, that question might arise. But let me just say that long before I even thought of applying for the Supreme Court as a tax practitioner, and I have to disclose this, I think I have taken the view that it should not be subject to the value-added tax, because it's a very passive kind of income. I will not even call it income, of an inflow of revenue that is for the specific purpose. It's like a membership due, actually. So, I mean, what kind of service is there? Your Honor.
That's all. Thank you and good luck again, Chairman Tan. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Attorney Mejia. May I request Attorney Guevara to continue, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good afternoon, Chairman.
Good afternoon.
I just heard that the last time you were interviewed, the members of the JBC unanimously included you in the short list. So I guess I'll just have to limit myself to just a few more questions, additional questions. Chairman, in your opinion, what is the present image of the Supreme Court to the general public?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
In your opinion, what is the image of the Supreme Court at present to the general public?
If we go by the surveys, and they come out regularly, I think that it is respectable, although it could be better. And I think that there has been quite a great improvement in the last 3 or 4 years from the image before. But as I said, it could be better. setting aside the surveys from where we sit, because we do our rounds. Also, I mean, we as members of the legal community, of course, sometimes it's the object of jokes and derision, you know. I mean, I think all lawyers would know this, and even us lawyers would sometimes joke about these things as well. And it's not it's something that I think we should work on better to improve the image of the judiciary. I think that the goal should be that every little person should be able to say that, Korte Suprema yan, dyan ako sasandan. I think that should be the goal.
Is this kind of image of the Supreme Court dependent on the composition of the Supreme Court?
Your Honor, I don't think it's really a matter of the composition of the Supreme Court. I think that the problem, if I may call it that, is not so much in the High Court. We hear more of that about the lower courts. So it's not so much the Supreme Court. I think it's when big cases are decided one way or the other that the Supreme Court inevitably gets into the thick of things. But otherwise, yung pang-araw-araw po na usapin, kung hindi po tungkol sa Korte Suprema, kundi sa akin pong naririnig sa mga lower courts, yung MTC, yung RTC. And I think that the reason for that, Your Honor, if I may continue lang a konti, is because these are the ones that are really so close to the people. So yun ho talaga yung kanilang napapansin at nararamdaman.
Well, in the case of the lower courts, one of the most significant issues being raised is the issue of corruption. So you're saying that this kind of problem is not a real problem insofar as the highest court of the land is concerned?
I think that the Supreme Court has had its share of accusations of that sort, and a lot of it in the lower courts. Ang mahirap po kasi, ang daming nagsasalita o pinag-uusapan yung corruption, pero wala naman pong lumalantad. So parang we're always, and I would say we, kasi kasama din po naman ako abogada po ako, parang we're always under a cloud of doubt, a cloud of suspicion, but no one is really coming up with strong evidence or with competent evidence, credible evidence. So that is where the credibility of the courts are being insidiously eroded. So I think that veering away from that image, repairing that image, and doing something about it really should be one of the more urgent agenda of the judiciary.
Having said that, and now that you are seeking a position in the Supreme Court, is there any personal or specific agenda that you are bringing into the court to address that kind of image problem, or talks, or reports, or rumors?
Ang paniniwala ko po mulat sa Paul is we always lead by example. So yung modeling, yung pamumuhay ng ating pong mga judges ay napakahalaga. I mean, the kind of life that they lead, because yun ang unang-unang nakikita ng tao, lalo na po sa mga maliliit na bayan at mga probinsya. The other thing also is, I think that there is a great deal of computerization going now in the courts. And while decisions only of the Court of Appeals, Court of Tax Appeals, and up, of course, up to the Supreme Court are being put on the web. Siguro po, maganda na maski yung mga desisyon ng mga nasa baba, the RTC, especially yung mga nag-i-issue ng TRO, siguro po pwedeng ilagay din natin sa web para the people can also see what the basis, can read the decisions for themselves and make a basis. Kasi nangyayari, pag nagka-TRO, kung sino yung lalamangan, parang kaagad yung lumalabas na bayaran yan. And there's a way by which that kind of talk spreads and takes root. But if the ordinary people can have access, bakit nga ganun naging decision niya, siguro mas medyo nakikita natin, no? And so ma-address natin kahit paano how the public would perceive the judges. On the other hand, I think that it will also help the judges be a little more careful. Kasi alam nila, lalabas na yung kanilang, magiging public consumption din yung kanilang mga decision. These are just random thoughts, Your Honor, that I don't think of right now.
Yeah, because present, when, there's a case pending in the lower court and someone wants to, let's say, get a copy of an order or a resolution, or a copy of a pleading for whatever purpose, unless that person seeking a copy is not a party to the suit, he or she will most likely not get such a copy of any order or resolution to which he is not a party in that case. Yeah. But in your suggestion, you're opening the whole case, okay? Whether it be probably a private matter between A and B, and a decision is rendered, then it will be open to everyone who might have an access to a computer.
At least po yung decision, resolution, yung order,
probably maybe on selected cases, like for example.
Yeah, I think we can start with some pilot basket of cases that will lend themselves more easily to this kind of disclosure, public disclosure.
Chairman, I noticed in your personal data sheet that you're connected with the ADB as international consultant until December of 2016, so until the end of this year. And that you're a member of the UN Independent Audit Advisory Committee till December of 2016 also. And that you are an arbitrator at the ICSID. This is the International Center for the Settlement of Investment Disputes. Am I right?
Yes.
Till June of 2021. So in case you're fortunate to be appointed to the Supreme Court, are you saying that you will have to give up all of this very lucrative professional engagements?
Your Honor, yes, but let me just perhaps say a little bit of each of them. The UN is a committee. The Independent Audit Advisory Committee is a committee that is not compensatory. We are considered international public servants, so we serve gratis. They only take care of our airfare and per diem when we have to go there to attend meetings. The committee that I am with now is composed of 5 members, one representing each of the 5 geographical divisions. I think I was nominated by the Asia Pacific member states, and so now I represent the Asia Pacific member states. And ADB is an intermittent. It's a project, one project, and it's intermittent. It is until December of 2016, but it is not an everyday kind of employment. I'm on call, and I attend meetings every now and then, but that's about it. As for ICSID, I was nominated by the Philippine government to be in the panel of arbitrators. So my name is there just in case somebody would want me to be a member of an arbitration team for a real case. But until that happens, I'm not really doing anything here.
Right. You were chairman of the Commission on Audit before, from 2011 to 2015, and I remember that there had been a lot of high-profile findings, cases that were uncovered by the COA during your watch, during your chairmanship. And it is possible that many cases will arise from these findings and find their way up in the Supreme Court. So, should you be appointed in the Supreme Court and this thing happens, how will you handle a situation like that?
If the rules so require, Your Honor, I will inhibit. I will inhibit in cases that were decided during my time, because cases decided by the Commission proper are directly raised to the Supreme Court on certiorari.
Yes.
So I suppose definitely that's clear to me. I will inhibit, Your Honor.
Madam Chairman, did you return to private law practice after your stint with the COA?
Not really, Your Honor. I'm involved in only those 3 matters now that I stated: the UNIAAC, my consultancy with ADB, and I have a new consultancy, World Bank, but it's only for 15 days, so that doesn't matter. And the ICSID, but ICSID is practically not going anywhere. I mean, not moving at this time.
So you ceased to have any connection with the law firm of Tan and Venturanza, I suppose.
I have long since I have ceased connection since 2002, Your Honor, when I was appointed commissioner of the PCGG. The only connection I have is my husband, but that's on the personal side.
I see. Now, 2 complaints or 2 oppositions were mentioned earlier by Commissioner Mitoy here earlier, and the other one, did you find any occasion to respond to the complaint of a certain Arturo Besana?
Your Honor, not in the context of not in the course of my first application with for the position, because it did not come to my attention. But I will not be surprised that he made an opposition, because has always been at our backs, at my back in particular, while I was in the Commission on Audit.
Do you have a copy of his opposition? Would you like to reply to that opposition if given a copy?
Yes, Your Honor. I think Her Honor Mayosa said that I will be given 5 days. Yes, Your Honor, I will do that.
Okay. That will be all, Madam Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Attorney Guevara. May I request now Justice Lagman to continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Chairman Tan, good afternoon. You are considered as an expert and highly respected in the field of taxation, revenue operations, as well as audit, of course, being the former chairman of the Commission on Audit. At this point in time, are you prepared to handle criminal cases, labor cases, civil and other special cases which are within the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court?
Yes, Your Honor. I started handling all those types of cases, but along the way, I got specialized in tax, corporations, securities. I did a lot of labor work in the early stages of my career. I did some litigation work as well. So these are not new matters to me, Your Honor, except that, and by the way, even as at least while I was in practice, even while I was concentrating on tax and corporate issues, I was actually doing a lot of pleadings, reviewing pleadings that included, that were of civil and criminal litigation.
Okay. Now, I was reading your PDS, and it seems that you have a limited practice. Okay. Now, are you familiar with the problems confronting the court now, most especially the Supreme Court, like delay in the disposition of cases, alleged corruption being committed by some of its members and personnel? Are you familiar with those problems?
We hear about them, Your Honor. We read about them. Yes.
So you read about them. So if you will be fortunate to be nominated and appointed to the Supreme Court, what would you suggest to address this problem?
Kagaya po ng nasabi ko po kanina, siguro yung pinakamabisa para sa akin as a person would be to lead by example. By that I mean we live within our means, and we're not ostentatious, we're not decadent and all that. I mean, it's what the people see. Yeah. To live simply for me is a good way of showing that the judiciary cannot be infected or cannot be corrupted by allegations merely of corruption. You know, it's a living institution, and if we are able to show them that we can be as competent and we can do our work the best way we can, even if we live simply, for me that's a good way. And I also mentioned that yung pong mga decision maski ng mga lower courts, siguro po pwedeng ilagay na rin po natin sa web para yung ating pong mga ordinaryong mga mamamayan makita din po nila kung saan nanggagaling yung mga desisyon o bakit naging ganon ang mga desisyon ng mga maestrado sa ibaba.
It's now in the web. Anybody can.
The lower courts?
The Supreme Court.
The lower courts. I mean po the lower courts.
Yeah, not the lower courts. Okay. Now, and at this point in time, how do you update yourself with the latest trends in the law, most especially those cases which I mentioned, like criminal cases, civil cases, and other special cases?
I continue to read po. My youngest son is in first year of law school at the UP. So, dalawa kaming estudyante ngayon sa bahay. I really, because we discuss, and I have to read the cases he's reading so that I will be on the same page as he. My other son is in Harvard Law School also, and every now and then he emails me the readings that they have. So, may mga trends, yung mga ganito. Nag-sit-in din po ako minsan sa klase niya sa Harvard. And I teach at the UP College of Law, except that I asked for 1 year break from my retirement. Sabi ko, hindi pa ho ako handa dahil gusto kong medyo makapagpahinga. I take teaching very responsibly. It's very hard work, so siguro ho by next semester I'll be back in teaching again.
Okay. At this point in time, if you will be nominated and appointed to the highest court, what challenge or challenges do you expect to encounter in the performance of your functions and responsibilities as a member of the court?
Yung pang-araw-araw ho siguro yung traffic.
The traffic, but not in the court.
Sa korte ho, I suppose the challenge would be to be able to prove myself. I mean, na humabol po sa wisdom ng aking mga daratnan, and to be able to work with them well, to be a part of a team. like the 15 member of the Supreme Court. I think that this will be the challenges.
So, considering that we have interviewed you only in 2014 and we have interviewed you extensively, now my last question, Chairman, is can you give us one strong reason why we should again include you in our shortlist?
One lang justice. Because I'm fit for the job and ready for the job.
Okay. On that note, I have no further question. Thank you and good luck. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Lagman. And so, this will be my first time to interview you, Madam Chair. Only 2 questions or 3. Why do you want to join the Supreme Court?
Nung una ho, inisip ko, abogado ako, parang the apex of one's career as a lawyer is to be a member of the Supreme Court. I still believe that. But more than that, I think I am of an age and of sufficient exposure and experience. I have done public service before. With all humility, I acknowledge na nabiyayaan po ako ng talino, ng maayos naman po na pagtatrabaho. And I'm 60 years old now. I would like to be able to use all these blessings, these opportunities that have been given to me in the service of the country. Because I would still have another 10 years. Parang kung makakatulong po ako sa pagiging justice, I would certainly welcome that, and I'd be so humbled by the honor and the privilege.
I like to hear those words, to serve the country. I think that should be the primary reason why you want to join the Supreme Court. And the second question, Madam Chair, is considering your outstanding credentials, especially the fact that you're a tax consultant, your work experience, what do you think will be your greatest contribution, fresh, new, to the Supreme Court in terms of jurisprudence?
Siguro po sa tax, tsaka sa corporate, in these areas, kasi po ito yung naging practice ko ng medyo masinsinan. No? But more than that, I would like to think that I will bring to the court the same enthusiasm, the same dedication, and commitment to an excellent public service as I had in the past.
Well, additional question. I cannot help myself but ask this. I heard, in answering the question of Justice Lagman that you have been updating yourself, especially in civil law, criminal law, and others. Well, if you are already a member of the Supreme Court and you are the ponente of this case, how will you decide the case of Grace Po?
Justice, with due respect, ay baka ho hindi appropriate na sagutin ko yan, baka
Off the record. I just want to know if you are really updated.
Justice, I will
Off the
have
record.
I will have to plead that I do not know all the facts, except for what we read in the papers, but that is not equivalent to a pleading. But I can give you my assurance that whatever it is, I will decide it on the basis of the facts, as I am satisfied them to have been proven, and on the basis of applicable law. So, makakasiguro po kayo, yun po ang gagawin ko.
The question is, how will you decide?
With great independence and with great...
Is he a natural-born Filipino citizen?
Justice, I will need the facts to be able to make a decision. Kasi ho, yung mga nababasa sa dyaryo, hindi ko alam kung yun na nga ang facts. Kasi iba naman po siguro
In
yung
fact, he is a
submission nila sa court.
foundling. Admitted. On that scoreline, can you not decide? by defining the constitutional provision. Who is a natural-born Filipino citizen? She is a foundling. You cannot yet decide. You cannot be a ponente right now.
I'll be a student, Your Honor.
Well, I cannot force you anyway. How about the issue on EDCA? If you are the ponente, is it constitutional or not?
Again, we will have to see the facts, Your Honor.
How about same-sex marriage? This is very easy. Relying on the Constitution and the Family Code.
Sa same-sex marriage, a man and a woman po yun, justice. If I remember my persons correctly, the institution of marriage is an institution between a man and a woman, so they are two different
It
sexes.
is provided by the Family Code.
Yes, they're two different sexes. Being a man is different from being a woman, so...
But the American view is different.
Yeah,
Of course, did you read the decision of the US Supreme Court?
sparingly justice, and I think that there was a big backlash on that. Pero yun lang daw ang batas sa Amerika. So,
The ruling of Justice Kennedy was based on the equal protection clause.
yes, Your
Can you
Honor.
apply that?
Exactly. I mean,
If you are a member of the Supreme Court, can you apply that?
Well, when
Because all Filipinos are equal. All Filipinos enjoy the same rights, privileges, benefits, protection, etc. There should be no discrimination. Marriage is a fundamental right under our Constitution. Can you also argue along that line when you become the ponente?
Justice, nahirapan nga po akong intindihin yun yung concept na yun. Kasi we also know...
So it needs further study.
Yeah,
Okay, I understand you.
Diba? Kasi yung equal protection, meron din po tayong mga concept on substantial distinction, di ba? So, classification, oo. Kung na-classify yung man at saka yung woman, I mean, there are just so many nuances that
But
I think...
can you
that has to be-
discriminate against the four classes of individuals involved? The transgender, bisexual, the gay, and the... Who is the other one?
LGBT? Yes, yun po yan.
Lesbian.
Yes. Lahat naman po in terms of basic
Lahat yan
human...
Pilipino.
Apo, lahat yan meron.
sila, di ba, entitled to equal protection law. The right to enter into a contract. And marriage is a contract. And to enter into a contract of marriage is a fundamental right of everybody. How is that? So that is debatable. I leave you that. Thank you very much,
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Your Honor.
And good luck.
Thank you. Salamat.